The next tip I have for you is called go early. This is a tip that I learned from Megan Grano, who is a speech coach. She is an actor. She actually came on Guyset. She spoke to my company, came and talked to everybody about how to be more confident, how to speak better in meetings. She kind of did like a media training for my entire company. And I connected with her after, and I was like, hey, I have this podcast. I'd love to have you on. And we've stayed in touch ever since. She was Sheryl Sandberg's speechwriter, who was the former COO of Facebook for 14 years. And she has a ton of knowledge. And something that she told me is go early. And what this means is if you're nervous or you're anxious to speak up in meetings, I think the question I asked her was, what do you do if you're nervous to talk in meetings or you don't know what to say in meetings and you want your voice to be heard, but you feel anxious that it's not a worthy thing that you're saying, or you're worried that other people aren't going to think what you say matters? She said, go early. And that means if you get into the conversation early, and you say what you want to say in the meeting early on versus waiting for too long and staying in your head about if what you say is smart enough or is good enough to be contributed to the meeting, you are much more likely to continue speaking up. If you go early in the meeting, if you say like, hey, I agree with that, or hey, like I'm not so sure about that, I think that we should do it this way, or hey, like this, and you add in your opinion or you contribute early on in the meeting, you're more likely to continue speaking up in the meeting. You're more likely to actually talk in the meeting versus waiting and waiting and waiting. The longer you wait, the less likely you are to actually speak up and share your opinion. And you're in the room for a reason. Like I just said, you are in that meeting for a reason. You're not just there to sit there and look pretty. Like you're not just there to sit there and like bob your head on a Zoom camera. You are there to contribute, to speak up, to add what you believe, share what you think about this thing. It's more valuable than you think most of the time. You might actually matter to the company. You probably do. So go early. Don't wait, because the longer you wait, the more likely you are to not say anything at all. And then wait and think on the next meeting, why didn't I say anything? And then the next time you don't say anything. So start this early. And I want to add into, if you're starting a new job, like go earlier. Like start early on in your meetings by speaking up. Again, this isn't something that you should abuse, and you're not always speaking up and you're not always over talking people. Like you have to navigate all of these things for yourself. These are all things that you will learn on the job. Everything that I'm sharing, I think, is universally applicable, but within each job, there are nuances. I don't know. There are like things that differ from job to job. You're not always going to be asking questions. Like you might wait till after to ask questions. So each of these things kind of comes with a caveat, but for the most part, I think they're good tips and good advice that I want to share with you. So I'm just adding that in as like don't always speak up in a meeting. This is something you have to learn. This is something you have to understand on your own. And that's the only way that any of us learn any of this stuff, right? The only way you actually learn how to do it is by doing it yourself. These are all things that you have to learn, that you get to learn. These are all experiences that we all have to experience on our own.